What is source? That's kind of a difficult thing to explain, but at the same time, it's somewhat of an easy concept. So let me dig in a little bit. So source basically is oneness. It's where we have come from, where we belong, where we are. Yeah, like I said, it's hard to explain. I don't like to put the word on it, but there's been cultures and religions over time that have put their own label on it, if you will. Some people will give it a specific name, or they may call it prana, like it's a source energy. Some people will call it the universe. Some people will call it God. Some people don't like to hear the word God, because I think God will, for some people, has a stigma to it, because they think of God as being a being, like an ultimate being that oversees us. A lot of religions have looked to a God or many gods that oversee us and has created the universe. And it's hard to really say, is there a person or a man behind that? Because if we are all one, that's hard to explain. I mean, there are other beings out there, so it's hard to say, well, is he a human being? Or he's not a being, he is. I don't even want to say he. I'm sorry I put the word he, but most religions will put God as a he. Yeah, like I said, that's kind of hard to explain. Some people will hear about source and think that, oh, I want to touch source. Let me start with basics, okay? Sorry if I've lost you or confused you or anything. Basics. Source is where we came from. Source is where we are. Source is what we are. Source is not anything of the past or the future. It is what is. Let's go back to the Big Bang. We all started as one. We were all one. And people say the universe began with the Big Bang. And because of that, we were all one. And then matter was created, if you will. The universe was created, matter was created. And then we became separate. Separate, but not. Separate in the sense that we sense that we are separate, but we really are not. We are our own souls, but we are part of a whole. To break it down, let's think about the ocean. The ocean is massive, but what is it comprised of? Molecules of water, and they are all interconnected. So you could have a molecule in the Indian Ocean that is connected to a molecule in the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, in the Gulf of Mexico. All of them are connected through each other. And we are like that. We are all connected. Now, we also think that, well, distance separates me. If I'm in the Gulf of Mexico and somebody else is in the Indian Ocean, I'm separate from them. But you're not. You are connected. You just are not visually with your senses seeing that person or that thing or that soul. Also, you can think of a tree of life. A lot of people see the tree of life as a symbol, and I've seen this in a meditation. A friend of mine has seen this recently in a meditation where we are part of the tree. And you can think of, right now, you are that leaf way out on the tree, and all you're seeing is like, oh, I'm seeing the sky, and I maybe see some other leaves, and I feel like I'm out here all alone. But if you were to look within, you are actually connected to all the other leaves, all the other branches, the trunk of the tree, the roots, everything. And you could say that that's source. And if you want to try to put God on that, you could maybe say that God or the oneness or the wholeness is the trunk, but we're still connected to it, right? That feeds us. It feeds us the water from the roots and out to the outside. And you can even go as far as saying, well, if I'm a leaf on that tree, and if I start to die, that might start affecting the other leaves around me. If I get sick, if somebody sprays poison on that one particular leaf, that can spread to the other ones around it, and eventually that can make the entire tree sick. But then if that whole tree is being fed something really good and it's getting the sunlight and the love and the care and the nutrients it needs, that tree can thrive. So we as individuals affect the whole. So then going back to source, some people say, well, I have never touched source in my meditation. Everybody talks about when you touch source, then you can get healed and you can manifest and all this stuff. That's true. It's because you are feeling separate. You sense that you are separate. You are using your 5 senses to sense that you are separate from source. But you are not separate. You are one with it. And when you can get past those beliefs that you are separate from source and that you are source, you can't say source is something outside of you. It is within you. It is every bit of your beingness. You are source. But those that have touched source, if you will, have sensed that oneness, that wholeness. I can explain to you what I experienced as source. So before I started meditating, I was raised believing that God exists and Jesus and all this stuff, and I didn't know what to think of other religions. I kind of was confused, like, well, why are other people believing that other gods exist? Well, are there more than one God? Are they mistaken? And is this religion wrong? And I was just like kind of lost. Like, I sensed that God exists, but I questioned it because there's so many opinions of what it is. But when I first touched source, if you will, or became one with the universe, in that moment I realized that God did exist. Now, I did not see God as this being overseeing me. I felt it. I felt this love and this connection and this knowing that we are all one. We are all connected. There is this, see, it's hard to put into words. This oneness, this beingness, there's not a disconnect. But when I became that and I felt that, it was not with my 5 senses, my seeing and my smelling and my touching. It was my 6th sense, if you will. It was this other sense. And it's just a knowingness and a connection. And because I had separated from, I didn't separate from my body, but it's like I had shed away all that. I had forgotten that I was this person right here. Our everyday lives are focused on this. We're focused on this body and our emotions and our feelings and what we can see around us are on using our senses. That's what we believe we are. But when I let all that go and I let those senses go and I forgot, if you will, for that moment, that's what I thought I was, then I realized what I truly was. I don't want to say was because that was in the past, but I am. I realized what I truly am. And I can explain it a little bit more too. That was during a walking meditation that I did that. And when I was a healing, I again touched source 2 more times because I got 3 healings. I got touched source 2 more times, but the last time was incredible. It was even more love than I felt the first time around, which is nothing you can compare. You cannot compare that love to anything you've ever felt on this planet. And there was a great light. You hear about a lot of people seeing a great light, and that is an indescribable light. It's not just like, oh, I'm seeing a light. I get that in my meditations. I see light, which I believe that is something. That is a connection to source. That is a sense of oneness. But this light that I saw then was more beautiful than I've ever seen in my entire life. I knew that I was one with Source. It wasn't that I was separate from Source. I was one with Source, and this light kind of connected me with it. And once that light, I saw it and it shot through my body. And then I saw the light shoot through everybody's hearts. And that light then, it became a web. And that web showed how we were all connected. I mean, you think of those molecules in the water. They're all flowing together. They're all connected. And then I know this is just really hard to understand, but I became everyone, everything, everywhere, all at once. And I could sense everyone and everything. I could feel everybody at the same time. I could feel their emotions. And it's like when you hear people talk about, well, God knows everybody, what everybody's doing at the same time. And I was like, how is that possible? It's because our minds can't fathom being one. But in that moment, I was one, and I was able to sense all that. And that was a remembrance. That was me connecting. That was me forgetting who I am right now. I wrote down a quote in front of me, and it says, "We are not and have never been separated." And that is very true. We are not separated. We are. We feel like we're separated. We feel like we're alone in this world. We feel like we're on our own journey. We are on our own journey, but we're part of that whole. I've heard other religions, I don't know if it was a Kabbalah or something like that, that was talking about how we have, I don't know if, I could be wrong, it was like 614 pieces of us, of this, I don't know, however many pieces it is, a billion pieces or whatever it is, and we have 614 pieces. And that piece of the puzzle, we need to do the best with that piece of the puzzle that we have inside of us to make the entire puzzle whole. Think about when you do a puzzle and you're missing that one piece, you're like, dang it, it's just not complete, it's not whole. And you need to do your part to make sure that puzzle is whole and complete. Maybe the dog chewed it up and then you put it in there, it just doesn't look right. Well, don't be that chewed up puzzle piece. Do the best with your pieces of the puzzle that you have been given to make the whole piece, the whole picture, the whole oneness, Source, as beautiful as we can make it. And I think that's why we feel lost, is because we don't realize, we see ourselves as a one puzzle piece. We don't see the whole puzzle. We don't know we're part of that piece of puzzle. But when we forget that we're that individual piece and that we are part of that whole, and that it's important that we be one with that whole, and we forget about our selfishness, if you will. And it's funny, I reflect on that because I feel like sometimes I am selfish because I'm like, no, I don't care about other people. I'm working on myself. But at the same time, I do care about people. But I don't want to consume myself with what others are doing, because sometimes that brings you down. Everybody is on their own journey. They're like, oh, they're on their own journey. I'm on my own journey. You may be hearing that, but yes, they are on their own journey. You're on your own journey. But what if we helped them? Just by me putting out this video, I hope that I'm helping you. Because by me helping you, it's helping to make your puzzle piece better. Your piece of the puzzle is better, or your leaf on the tree is better and healthier, and you're recognizing that we're one. And so even though I'm working on myself, because that's really mostly what I have control is of myself, but I can try to help others. I'm sure a lot of you have that calling. You're like, I want to help somebody. I want to help people. It's because you know that, okay, these people over here don't know what to do. And maybe I can help them be better so their leaf on the tree isn't affecting me so much. Sometimes that leaf on the tree is not going to listen to you, and you're just going to be like, okay, I can't work on that leaf. How about this leaf? How about this leaf? But don't focus on just fully on them. Don't focus on everything on everybody else, because you are working mostly on yourself. I feel like I've gotten a little off tangent, but this is all related. So going back to source, you can say, well, I've never touched source before. I don't feel that source. I don't feel that oneness. But you have. You may not have had these mystical experiences that other people have had. You may not have seen the great light or felt this great love that others have experienced. But you have felt source. You know source is there. You know there's times in your life that you feel that. You hear of people who have never prayed a day in their life, and then something horrible happens and they get to their knees and they pray. They know there's something inside of them that connects, that they want to connect in some way, and so they pray. And that's kind of what the meditating is doing too, is like some people will start this meditation and are like, wow, I really feel like this is something. I don't know what it is. You sense source in simple everyday things. Have you ever just sat outside and watched the clouds drift by? Felt the breeze? Felt the sun on your skin? Have you ever watched a kitty cat and just smiled at it? If you have children, just observing them and loving them. If you've ever been in love. All those things are what we are. We are love. We are one. We are connected. We are source.